Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to the reaction to Star Wars Episode 9 teaser. Supposedly the Rise of Skywalker. My central problem with this whole existence of Episode 9 and the sequel trilogy in general is that it claims to be the end of the Skywalker saga. That's what they're billing this movie in particular as, the closing of the Skywalker saga. There's so many problems with this. When you talk about the Skywalker saga, what people are most interested in is Luke Skywalker. His hero's journey is what the entire Star Wars mythos is built around. It certainly was the case with the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy is really only of interest in how it leads to Luke's story. You know, Anakin's only interesting in how he becomes Vader, the perfect challenge for Luke. Luke is the one who proves so hopeful, so pure-hearted, that he refuses to fight against the great evil of Vader and refuses to believe that he can't be redeemed, and in the end does redeem him. That's huge. That's a powerful, profound, resonating story, and that's what's kept Star Wars relevant for so long. As I've said before, when George Lucas decided to make the prequel trilogy, it's not a bad idea. It's part of the story, and it's a good idea to see the fall of Anakin and whatnot, but if your average fan had their choice, they would have much rather seen a continuation of Luke's stories. Luke, Leia, Han, all these characters that we fell in love with the original trilogy, we've always wanted more of their stories. Now, those who were lucky enough and aware enough to go ahead and start reading the EU when it came out, I came to that very late, just recently, but man, I'm loving it. That's where those characters really shine, and you get their further stories and their further adventures, and it's glorious. It truly is glorious so far. I'm sure I'll happen upon a few duds here and there out of the entire expanded universe, but man, everything I've read so far, it's just perfect. I mean, that Thrawn trilogy, that is exactly what a sequel trilogy should have been. It was just amazing. Those are the characters that we wanted to follow, in particular, Luke Skywalker. Star Wars is all about him and his journey. This sequel trilogy, Disney claims that it's still the Skywalker saga. No, it's not. It has not been the Skywalker saga since you began with Force Awakens. Luke wasn't even in that film, and it was all about Rey and how amazing Rey is. Then, when Luke comes around in The Last Jedi, it's all about his deconstruction. It's all about making absolutely certain that you know this man has done nothing special and nothing to be excited about or impressed with since we last saw him in The Return of the Jedi. I mean, that he's a insecure, weak, filled with fear. He at one point was going to kill his nephew and then just decides to hide away from the world and live as a hermit. That is nothing like the character that we fell in love with. And don't buy this bullshit that people try to say, oh, well, that's the hero's journey in the end, and that's the older life. Or that. No, it's not. These people don't know what they're talking about. They're just grasping at straws and anything they can to sound smart while they defend this hodgepodge slapshot crap of a film. The Last Jedi, the entire theme of that movie was forget the past. Kill it if you have to. Forget it. Stop it. Get over it. J.J. Abrams in The Force Awakens, he was all about the nostalgia, but at the same time, that was only there to ease the new characters in. Kathleen Kennedy's only direction to him was make the lead a female. She wanted a new, strong female character that would be basically a female version of a male character because Leia wasn't good enough for her, apparently. Now, even if, let's say it had always been Abrams's plan to make Rey a Skywalker. Let's say this new Episode 9 will prove that she's the long-lost daughter of Luke and some bastardized version of Mara Jade they want to try and pull in the film. Let's just say that's the case. It still doesn't matter, because you can't say that it's the Skywalker saga in any kind of satisfying way when you only realize that after watching the third damn film. How is this a satisfying conclusion to the quote-unquote Skywalker saga? You had all three of our main characters. The actors were alive. We could have had a glorious reunion. They screwed up that. They killed off Han just as quick as they could in that first film, and I don't care what the reasons for. I don't care what grumpy old Harrison Ford had to do with it. It was a bad decision. That entire movie was about getting these old characters out of the way, getting all of these traditional characters that people knew and loved and wanted to see certain things done with, erasing them, just knocking them out of the way, getting those expectations out of the way so that Kathleen Kennedy and her crew can put whatever agendas they want to into these movies and remold this whole universe into what they want it to be. The Last Jedi was boldly assertive in that. What can Episode 9 possibly do? How can this... I hear people say, well, have faith, this might fix it. What planet do you live on? How can this fix it? How, unless it goes back in time or says, sorry, Last Jedi was just a Force dream, or just kidding... You can't fix it. It doesn't matter what the hell Luke comes back from the dead to do now. It will never erase what The Last Jedi set him up to be. That's not in keeping with his character, the one that we knew and loved. And in Episode 9, everything in that teaser, it pretends to say the rise of Skywalker or whatever in the close of the Skywalker saga. Who cares what Luke the Force Ghost happens to do? Who cares that Leia gives Rey a hug? Clearly what this movie is all about is the exact same thing The Force Awakens was all about, is to let everybody say how amazing Rey is, how wonderfully amazing Rey is. It doesn't matter who she turns out to be. She is an absolute textbook Mary Sue character. She has not worked for anything that she's able to do in these films. She's not earned any of the accolades or the impressions she just magically makes upon everybody she meets. She hasn't earned audience investment. And that is why people reject this character. Now, you've got your shills. You've got your people who are just so happy that anything has the word Star Wars stamped on it. And they'll, of course, try to argue for this or that. They're in line with the agendas, and you've got that sort of mindless zombie crowd. But Rey doesn't resonate. Rey is not a character that anybody's going to give a damn about 10 years from now. People will still care about Luke Skywalker, those who remember him, and it'll be more difficult to remember him the more Disney just tries to distance themselves from those characters completely. And that is what they're doing. They want full control, original characters that they can push and make into anything they want. The nostalgia and the little bits having Lando in there, the little fan service, it's really honestly pretty sad seeing Lando in the movie. Lando, he's your last resort. You've killed off Han, you pissed around with Leia, screwed up her character, and now sadly Carrie Fisher's passed on and can't do anything else with it. You killed off Luke Skywalker, you bring in Lando. Now, having read a lot of the novels of the EU, Lando's a wonderful character, a hugely important character. But according to these movies and their continuity and what they care about, who the hell is Lando? I mean, the original owner of the Millennium Falcon, sure, but I mean, that's your big sell. That's your big nostalgia to bring back in the third movie because you killed off everybody else. This isn't even a fan service. It's set to be in the trailer as though it's some great big reveal and, oh, look what we're doing for you guys. No, you killed off everybody we care about. And all you have left is Lando, who's a great character, don't get me wrong. No, that shouldn't be the big reveal character to come back in Episode 9. That's ridiculous. And then, of course, we have to see glimpses of Finn and Poe, more characters that nobody gives a shit about. These are poorly written, poorly developed characters without any resonance in the audience. There's no investment. And in fact, in cases like Poe in particular, we don't even know if we know who this guy is. He was portrayed as one way in The Force Awakens and completely differently in The Last Jedi. Dressed down and shamefaced by Holdo, and was he even a good guy or a bad guy? What was even going on in that movie with him? What was even going on in that whole damn movie, period? There's no way to make this work. All Episode 9 can ever hope to be is a 2-hour-long Band-Aid. That's all. And Band-Aids are only there to cover up. They're not there to do the healing. Episode 9 will only ever, at most, be a bandage to wrap up the bleeding, gaping wound of The Last Jedi. And, if we're honest, of The Force Awakens as well. It didn't have to be as gaping of a wound. The Force Awakens, developed properly, could have been still nothing like the sequel trilogy should have been, but it certainly wouldn't have been the travesty that Last Jedi was. So no, I don't understand the excitement. I don't understand how anybody can think, oh, maybe this will fix it. What movie are you watching? What, do you even care about Luke Skywalker at all? We never received further adventures of Luke Skywalker. So stop pretending that you've earned the right to close out the saga. It's insulting to fans. It's insulting to anybody who's even tried to follow your hodgepodge of a storyline sequel trilogy. And this all falls squarely on the shoulders of Kathleen Kennedy, who has no concept of what a modern executive producer should do. She is not a storyteller, doesn't believe she should have to be. She's an administrator. She does not understand the concept of modern producing and the hands-on storytelling approach that's necessary for a shared cinematic universe. This movie will come out. It will be better received than The Last Jedi, but it's going to be sort of a, well, yeah, I guess it could have been worse. And that's what glorious Star Wars is going to end with in terms of the Skywalker trilogy for your average audience who can't be bothered to read a damn book and pick up the glorious EU. That is my reaction to the Star Wars Episode 9 teaser. Stay tuned for more reactions, reviews, cultural commentaries, and live streams. Thanks for clicking like and subscribe. Do share the video. Check out Tales from the Stacks on Indiegogo, my very own original graphic novel with Dave T. Geek. And until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love. Thanks for watching.